This video is about why questions might be better than answers for you right now. You see, questions are unlimited. Answers and statements are always limited. They don't necessarily evolve. A question evolves the statement as it precedes the actual statement itself. Albert Einstein once said, and I came across this quote and I love it, is that if he had an hour to solve one of his life's most challenging or tough problems, then what he would do is spend 55 minutes trying to think of the proper question. I found this fascinating, as why would one of the smartest minds, and if this quote is correctly cited, spend 55 minutes of that hour on a question? And it started to get my questions rolling about questions. Have you ever forgotten someone's name that was your friend or someone that was close to you and you really wanted to remember it? And you felt like really guilty afterwards, like, how can I forget their name? They're gonna think poorly of me or whatever. And then eventually, like 2-3 hours later, maybe when you're in the shower, maybe when you're just chilling, that idea just pops into your mind, or their name pops back into your mind, and you're like, oh, that's it, why couldn't I just have it in that moment? And I feel like that happens a lot, but it's not just with names, it's with every other question. It doesn't have to be a menial question. And when we ask the question, we don't have to know it in that moment. It can pop up at a later time, and we don't have to constantly be thinking about it for it to pop up. We just have to ask that question at that initial time. But so often I felt like I blocked myself by saying I don't know it in that moment, instead of how can I know it, and then just letting it go, just letting it be free, and then seeing when it's going to pop up later, like a little meerkat. Another quote from my man Albert was, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's that I stay with the questions much longer." How do you actually bring this knowledge about how powerful questions can be into your day-to-day basis with like a practical exercise? And luckily, I'm not the first person who's thought about this. When I was listening to a podcast with Josh Waitzkin and Tim Ferriss. Josh Waitzkin, just to give you some context, is an epic martial artist and chess player, and is really famous and dominated a lot of the chess area for a long time. And one of the things that he does when he's coaching, I guess, high-performing athletes, executives, CEOs, is he aims to get them to focus on what he calls their most important question. The way he phrased this, or understanding and getting to the cause of your most important question, is what is the most important question in your life right now that, if answered, would have the biggest positive net impact on your life? At first I was like, that sounds like a really big question. Like, how can I expect myself to know my answer to the question on what question I should ask? And then I was like, you're doing the same thing that you did before, mate. You're trying to answer it straight away. And then he shared his framework, which was, and it's very simple and very easy, and I just love it, is every day, if you don't know the answer to that, you ask yourself that question and write it out on, I guess, a piece of paper, an Evernote, whichever tool you prefer, and then you just let it go. And that's the whole thing, is with the second step, you just don't worry about it. You just ask yourself once, and then you just let it go, like it didn't even happen. And then you just chill out, whatever you need to do, watch TV, watch a movie, whatever, and then go to sleep. And then the third step is when you wake up the next morning, is you just free write. So free writing means you just unfilter your thoughts. So you don't have to have the answer to that question, but you just write out whatever comes to mind in regards to that question. The reason why you do this, you may think that this is hardly anything, is it gets your reticular activation system, because your mind can only focus on a few things at once. It sort of darts around. You can't capture everything in your environment, and it gets you focused with that question on what's most important, because that's what the question is. It's your most important question. And the benefit of doing this is, like, when you free write it, you may get some ideas. You may not get all the answers you're after the first day. But like the habit, if I was thinking about it, the habit of doing this day in, day out for a long period or long stretch of time, it just gets your mind focused where you want to go. And it's like an easy way. You don't have to, it's not long, you don't have to do it. Maybe it's like 5 minutes or like 1 minute. And I'm just really interested in experimenting with it, so I thought I'd share it here. And it just, on a daily habit, if you think about it, it's getting you to think about your biggest, I guess, problems, but letting your mind think about it and marinate in it, because we've got like unconscious mind and conscious mind. So conscious is like whatever I'm aware of in my surroundings right now in this moment, and then unconscious is everything else that's happened, everything else that I've learned, all my other experiences. And it's staying in your unconscious mind, and then when you sleep, you just have to let it go. You don't have to think about it, and it's like free work for your brain, and then ideas just pop up. And I was like, that is just awesome. So I just thought I'd share that to you about questions and the power of questions and the simple exercise, but I think it can be extremely effective. Finally, to quote Michael Beckwith, behind every problem there is a question trying to ask itself, and behind every question is an answer trying to reveal itself, and behind every answer is a way of action trying to take place. And behind a way of action that's trying to take place is a way of life that's trying to be born. If you found this useful, please share it with a friend. And this is the 3rd week of the Curiosity Challenge, and I look forward to seeing you in week 4, next week Friday. Until then, remember, uncover your truth.